The old village huddled beneath a sky thick with storm clouds. Rain lashed against crumbling stone walls. A low, mournful whisper seemed to rise from the very earth, carried on the wind that howled through the deserted streets. It spoke of shadows and secrets, of things best left undisturbed. This was the village of Hollow Creek, a place forgotten by time. Few dared to venture here, and those who did spoke of a presence, a chilling aura that clung to the decaying houses and overgrown paths. They whispered of the creepy old man, a recluse who haunted the outskirts, his eyes like burning coals in the fading light. Ethan and Lily, young and adventurous, dismissed the villagers' tales as mere superstition. They laughed off the warnings, convinced that the stories were just meant to scare away outsiders. They had come seeking adventure, their backpacks laden with supplies, and their hearts filled with the thrill of the unknown. The misty landscape only added to their excitement, making the journey feel like a real-life mystery waiting to be unraveled. They were oblivious to the danger that lurked in the shadows, waiting to embrace them in its cold and clammy grip. The forest seemed to whisper secrets, its eerie lighting casting long, menacing shadows that danced around them. The wind whipped Lily's hair across her face as they navigated the muddy path. The storm clouds gathered ominously overhead, casting a dark pall over the already gloomy surroundings. "Do you think anyone lives here anymore?" she asked, her voice barely audible above the storm's fury. Her eyes darted around, taking in the desolate buildings and the eerie silence that seemed to hang in the air. Ethan, ever the brave one, just grinned and pointed towards a crumbling stone archway in the distance. "That looks like a good place to start," he said, his eyes gleaming with curiosity and a hint of mischief. "Let's find out," he said, his voice echoing in the oppressive silence that followed the last clap of thunder. The air was thick with tension, and the forest seemed to hold its breath as they took their first steps towards the unknown. They pulled out an old, weathered map they had found in the village, its edges frayed and the ink faded. They studied it intently, tracing a path that led deeper into the heart of the forgotten village. As they ventured further, they stumbled upon an ancient, overgrown cemetery. Broken tombstones jutted out of the ground at odd angles, and an eerie mist swirled around their feet, adding to the sense of foreboding. Hand in hand, Ethan and Lily pressed on, their determination unwavering despite the growing sense of dread. They were determined to uncover the secrets of the forgotten village no matter what dangers lay ahead. They stepped beneath the archway and into the village proper. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. The houses stood like tombstones, their windows dark and empty. A shiver ran down Lily's spine, a primal instinct warning her of unseen danger. She glanced at Ethan, but his face held only excitement. They pressed on, deeper into the heart of the village. The only sound was the relentless drumming of the rain and the occasional screech of a crow, circling overhead as if disturbed by their presence. The shadows grew longer, stretching out like grasping claws as the last vestiges of daylight faded. As darkness enveloped the village, they spotted it. A solitary house perched atop a hill overlooking the crumbling ruins. A single flickering light emanated from a shattered window, like a beacon in the encroaching darkness. "Someone must live there," Ethan whispered, his voice tight with a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. They cautiously made their way up the overgrown path, each step accompanied by the rustling of unseen creatures in the undergrowth. The closer they got, the more oppressive the atmosphere became, as if an unseen force was pressing down on them, stealing their breath. The air grew noticeably colder, and Lily could feel her heart pounding in her chest. Section 5. A Glimmer in the Dark. They reached the front door, its paint peeling and covered in a strange luminous moss that glowed faintly in the darkness. Ethan raised his hand to knock, but before he could, the door creaked open, as if inviting them inside. A musty, almost sweet odor wafted out, causing Lily to gag. "Hello?" Ethan called out, his voice echoing in the cavernous hallway beyond. There was no answer, only the sound of their own breathing and the incessant patter of the rain. Ethan, emboldened by the lack of response, stepped inside, Lily hesitantly following behind. Section 6. A Chilling Encounter. The interior of the house was dark and dusty, cobwebs draping the furniture like macabre decorations. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and every step they took stirred up clouds of dust that danced in the dim light. As their eyes adjusted to the gloom, they saw him, a shadowy figure, barely discernible in the dim light, standing motionless in the corner of the room. Seated in a rocking chair by a dying fire sat an old man. The fire's flickering shadows danced across his face, casting eerie patterns that made him look almost ghostly. His face was hidden in the shadows, but they could see the glint of his eyes, watching their every move. Those eyes seemed to pierce through the darkness, filled with an unsettling intensity. He didn't speak, but a low chuckle seemed to emanate from him, sending shivers down their spines. The sound was almost inhuman, echoing through the room and amplifying the sense of dread. The air crackled with a strange energy, and Lily felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over her. It was as if the very walls of the house were closing in, suffocating her with their oppressive presence. She wanted to leave, to run back into the storm, but her feet felt as if they were rooted to the spot. The storm outside seemed almost inviting compared to the terror that gripped her inside the house. She could hear the wind howling, the rain pounding against the windows, but it all felt so distant, as if she were trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. Section 7. The Secret of the Attic. Hello? Ethan tried again, his voice echoing in the oppressive silence. The old man remained silent, his gaze unwavering. Ethan took another step forward, and the floorboards creaked ominously beneath his weight. As if on cue, a gust of wind slammed the front door shut with a deafening boom. Lily jumped, her heart racing. The old man finally moved, tilting his head slightly as if listening to something they couldn't hear. He then pointed a gnarled finger towards a trapdoor in the ceiling. Lily followed his gaze and saw that it was slightly ajar, a faint light emanating from within. Section 8. The Truth Unveiled. Curiosity momentarily overcoming their fear, they cautiously approached the trapdoor. Ethan reached up and pulled it open, revealing a rickety set of stairs leading up into the darkness. The strange, sweet smell was stronger here, and Lily could feel a tingling sensation on her skin. Ethan climbed the stairs, his silhouette disappearing into the darkness above. Lily waited below, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly she heard Ethan gasp, followed by a thud and then silence. "Ethan?" she called out, her voice trembling. There was no response. Section 9. A Race Against Time. Panic surged through Lily. She scrambled up the stairs, her eyes frantically searching the darkness. The attic was small and cramped, filled with dusty boxes and cobwebs. At the far end, she saw Ethan lying on the floor, his eyes wide with terror. Standing over him was the old man, a wicked grin stretched across his face. In his hand, he held a shimmering glass vial filled with a swirling green liquid. Lily watched in horror as he uncorked the vial, the sweet, sickly smell intensifying. She knew instinctively that whatever was in that vial was dangerous, deadly even. She had to act fast. Section 10. The Darkness Consumes. Lily lunged at the old man, but he was surprisingly strong. He shoved her back, sending her sprawling to the floor. He then turned back to Ethan, raising the vial to his lips. "No!" Lily screamed, scrambling to her feet. She grabbed a dusty bookend from a nearby shelf and hurled it at the old man. It struck him on the head, and he collapsed to the floor, the vial rolling away into the shadows. Lily rushed to Ethan's side, relief washing over her when she saw he was still breathing. She helped him to his feet, and together they stumbled down the stairs and out of the house, not daring to look back. Section 11. A Haunting Silence. They didn't stop running until they were far away from the village, the storm having finally abated. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, hearts pounding in their chests as they glanced back at the path they had taken. The village, now a distant memory, seemed to disappear into the mist, swallowed by the darkness they had fled. They never spoke of what they had seen that night, the terror etched into their faces, a silent pact formed among them. The whispers of fear were barely audible, but the weight of their shared experience was palpable, a heavy burden they carried in their hearts. But the memory lingered, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. Every flicker of a streetlight, every shadow that crept along the walls, brought back the haunting images of that fateful night. It was as if the village itself was alive, breathing with the malevolence that had driven them away. The village of Hollow Creek remained, a desolate testament to its sinister past. Overgrown vegetation and decaying houses stood as silent witnesses to the horrors that had unfolded. The mist that enveloped the village seemed to whisper secrets, tales of the unspeakable events that had transpired. The creepy old man was never seen again, his presence a ghostly memory that haunted the villagers. His house, with its broken windows and empty rooms, stood as a grim reminder of the fear he had instilled. But some say on stormy nights, you can still hear his low, mournful chuckle echoing on the wind, a sound that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who dares to listen. The wind, carrying his eerie laughter, seemed to mock the silence that had settled over Hollow Creek, a chilling reminder of the secrets that lie buried within the crumbling walls of the house on the hill. And in the silence, the house seemed to hold its breath, guarding the mysteries that lay within its darkened rooms. A single question remained unanswered. What was the terrifying truth behind the creepy old man and the village of Hollow Creek? The villagers, though they had escaped, could never truly leave behind the enigma that haunted their dreams. The foggy landscape, with its sense of foreboding, seemed to hold the answer, just out of reach, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek it.